Okay, so we just got done with the draft, and wow, it was pretty interesting. I stopped watching it after like 23 or like 25, but then I came back to just see the final three picks. But wow, it's insane. So, firstly, with the first overall pick, the Panthers selected Bryce Young. Everyone knew this was gonna happen. Everyone knew this was gonna happen. I was like, all right, good, good, good. They were smart. Second overall, C.J. Stroud. Now, that some people were surprised. Some, I wasn't. I knew they would do that. But what surprised me was they jumped to get Will Anderson. That I was like, whoa, back to back. That's insane. Because not only did they get their quarterback, they got the defensive player. I think what they did is they traded their 12th and a second. Fourth overall, surprisingly, Anthony Richardson went off. I thought it was gonna be Will Levis because Anthony Richardson, for me at least, doesn't fit in that system of the Colts. Because the Colts, they're not really a dual threat QB, unless you count Andrew Luck as a dual threat. But he was more of like a pocket passer. That's why I was like, no. I thought to take Will Levis and develop him, but Anthony Richardson had more potential, maybe with the Colts. Fifth overall, Devin with. Now, when I heard this pick, I was like, what? You needed Jalen Carter, not a corner. But as far as we know, the secondary of the Seahawks is going to be deadly. We know that. That is a smart pick, but wait, let me move the screen like that. But I'm still surprised. Like they needed to take Jalen Carter, not a corner, or anyone else. Arizona, with the pick, they traded up with Detroit. They got Paris Johnson to get their starting tackle. I don't know if he plays left or right. I think he could transition between both, but pretty good pick. Protect Kyler Murray. Seventh overall, the Raiders took a not a bad pick, but many people believe they will take like Skoronski or Paris Johnson. Well, Paris Johnson is off. I just forgot if he was still available. They would take like a tackle. I thought they would also take a tackle, but Tyree Wilson will be pretty good. That's gonna make a pretty deadly rush with Chandler Jones, Max Crosby, and now Tyree Wilson. That's gonna be a pretty good rushing defense. Pretty good. The Falcons surprisingly take a running back and take Bijan Robinson. This surprised me a lot. I was like, a running back? I know he was gonna go in the first, but like the Falcons, I thought they were gonna draft like a QB. So that's what I believe is they're gonna run with Desmond Ritter, maybe. But it's like they're gonna draft a QB. They could have taken Will Levis, but maybe they didn't want him. Ninth overall, the Eagles took Jalen Carter. They traded up with Chicago. I think they moved like one singular pick, and they got their defensive tackle. Because reminder, they lost Javon Hargrave to the 49ers. So they need someone to replace him. It's going to be hard to replace him, but with the amount of veterans there are on that team, I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes one of the best tackles in the league later. The Bears took their offensive tackle in Darnell Wright. That's pretty good. They got someone to protect. They got Justin Fields to protect. And they got their franchise tackle right there. Hopefully their franchise tackle. The Titans, needing their tackle, take the best available one in Peter Skoronski. He's one of the best tackles, and I'm pretty sure he was the best one out of all of them. But, the tackles are already gone. All the good tackles, all the quality ones. 12th overall, the Lions. This didn't enrage me. It was like more why. I was surprised. The commentators were surprised on ESPN. They were like, whoa. I think I even saw that. Wow. Why? They needed a corner, and as you could see, no corners had been taken. They could have and should have taken their franchise corners right there. In either Christian Gonzalez, right there. Don't tell me I messed up his name. I hope I didn't. They could have gone Christian Gonzalez, or wait, let me check. I keep forgetting. Christian Gonzalez or dang, I somehow forgot. But yeah, pretty much they could have taken a running. They took a running back, and yes, the loss of Jamal Williams was gonna be a pretty big one, but they could draft one later. They could draft Jamal Gibbs later or get just another running back. I spent a lot of time on this one. Let's move on. 13th overall, the Packers. In tradition, do not draft an offensive mind. They don't draft any offense. They draft Lucas Van Ness. Now, they got this pick from the Jets from the Aaron Rodgers trade. And this trade was good because, Rodgers is finally with the team he wants to go with. No more no more cap death for the Packers, and it's gonna be interesting to see that. But surprisingly, the Packers took a defensive edge. I think they should have taken a receiver, but maybe they have something planned for him. 14th overall, the Steelers traded up, and they got Broderick Jones, and that's good. They needed a tackle, and there was all of the quality tackles, and Skoronski, Wright, Johnson are all gone. And Broderick Jones is the best option, so they took him. The New York Jets, after the trade down, took Will McDonald. I was surprised. I'd expect them to take someone else, but Will McDonald, after seeing some highlights, he's pretty good. And maybe Iowa has something on them because Iowa State and Iowa both are just making these quality players, or at least good starters. 16th overall, the Washington Commanders took Emmanuel Forbes. I was surprised with this one because I expect them to take Christian Gonzalez or Devin Witherspoon. Well, he's not available anymore. That's what I was missing, Devin Witherspoon. But they didn't take Gonzalez, which is weird. Maybe they saw something in him. Because Gonzalez was like the best corner available. And it surprised me when they took him. But they got their corner, and they're gonna move on. The Patriots, seeing how he's still on the board, took Christian Gonzalez. The Jets, who passed on him for Will McDonald, are gonna have to deal with him at some point. It would have been interesting to see Sauce Gardner and Christian Gonzalez in the same secondary. That would have been deadly. And it would have been fun to watch, but it already happened. The Lions took Jack Campbell. They were going defense now. They should have gone defense first, then offense. And they took their linebacker in Jack Campbell. I have not watched him that much, but if you want, he's the first linebacker off, right? Yeah, he's the first linebacker off. So he was the best linebacker. Because I don't really know linebackers that much. I know mostly receivers, QB, some corners, some tackles, some running backs, but I don't really know the linebackers' cores. 19th overall, the Buccaneers took Khalid Kancey. Pretty much he is compared to Aaron Donald because they are both from Pitt. They pretty much have some same physical attributes. And they're both tackles, defensive tackles. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Buccaneers do with Khalid Kancey. I really do hope he flourishes. And it's going to be interesting to see him play. This is actually a pretty good one. I really do hope he succeeds. 20th overall, the Seahawks, needing a receiver, even though they already have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, took Jackson Smith-Njigba. That was interesting. I thought they'd take maybe like a tackle or like a running back or someone else, but no. I mean, who else was he supposed to draft? I don't know any more tackles that are available, and they don't need to run the ball. So now they have maybe the receiver 2, because I know DK's receiver 1. So Jackson Smith is probably going to go into the slot or be receiver number 2. I do believe he'll be receiver number 2 and move Tyler Lockett to receiver 3. Meaning it's going to be harder for the 49ers and anyone in the NFC West to just cover them. 21st overall, the Dolphins had to forfeit it because they're the Dolphins. They probably did some crazy shit. The Chargers took Quentin Johnson. Everyone thought they were going to take, Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison. I thought they were gonna take Jordan Addison, but no, they took Quentin Johnson. One of the, I think he was the best receiver available, and they took him. Now they have their receiver because Mike Williams and Keenan Allen aren't gonna be there forever, and they need to start looking into that. The Ravens are finally gonna get a are gonna finally get a receiver for Lamar after he got his new contract. Lamar, Odell Beckham, and Zay Flowers. So now Lamar has two good receivers. Here he has his tight end. Maybe the Ravens could trade for a receiver, maybe D Hop, because the Cardinals want to get rid of him in the trade, most like draft. I thought it was gonna happen, but it didn't. The Vikings took Jordan Addison to replace Adam Thielen after he left for the Carolina Panthers. And it's going to be interesting to watch him and Jay Jettis play. 24th overall, the Giants took Deontay Banks. Christian Gonzalez, the best corner, is gone. And Emmanuel Forbes is also gone. So they took their corner in Deontay Banks. Their secondary was the big problem. Their D-line is forming. And their linebacker core is pretty decent. It was their secondary that was really, the problem. And it should be reinforced with Banks there. 25th overall, the Bills took Dalton Kincaid, the best tight end available. And yeah, they just need some depth. It's Dawson Knox and I don't know who else. So Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid is going to be a pretty good. And it's going to be interesting to see how they run the ball. 26th overall, the Cowboys took Mazi Smith. And I don't know who Mazi Smith is, surprisingly, even though I looked at all of them. But it's just as I think he might be a starter or a rotational player. Most likely a starter because you're drafted in the first round. But it's going to add more, aggression to that defense that has just been getting better this season. 27th overall, the Jaguars took Anton Harrison. They need someone to protect, and that is Trevor Lawrence. So they got himself a tackle. And also the Giants traded for the 24th pick. So they traded with Jacksonville, and the Giants traded the Bills for that 25th pick, causing them to go to 27th overall. That was interesting because they just got like 3 more picks, meaning that's 3 more starters or backup players that are quality. 28th overall, the Bengals took Miles Murphy from Clemson. Everyone knew this was gonna happen. I was like, okay, they're gonna click him. They're gonna grab him. They need someone on that edge, and they got him. 20th overall, surprisingly, Brian Brees. I thought they would take Nolan Smith, but no, they took Brian Brees. Pretty good tackle. Now entering the final 2, the Eagles need another defensive player to back up with Hassan Reddick, and they took Nolan Smith. That's going to be interesting to see Hassan Reddick and Nolan Smith. That makes 4 Georgia Bulldogs in the last 2 years on that Eagles defense. And with the final pick, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, a defensive edge to try to get Frank Clark because he left. He was released, or he just didn't sign a contract. So, yeah. It was interesting, and the more interesting was Will Levis. I expected the Falcons to draft him, but no, they're not. So I think they're going with Desmond Ridder. So that's gonna be fun to see. All right, that's gonna be the end of the video. I'm not gonna post day 2 or 3 or no more of these, but it will be nice to see where Will Levis goes, where Stetson Bennett goes, because, like I said yesterday, Stetson Bennett might go from an undrafted to a 7th to a 4. I've heard this. I do think he might go like in the 5th or 6th. But yeah.